Hi everybody, it's Peg, and I have been taken up with the Black Journal from Delusions, and this page is a page that I had done in my original Delusions journal that I had painted black, and I think I had shown you some pictures of my doodling on there. Well, I started this off by taking a transparency, designing what I wanted to use for a mask and stencil, drew it on the transparency with a Sharpie, and then cut the pieces out so that I could use both the positive and negative from the transparency to apply my paints. Now you can see I had a little difficulty. My transparency was shifting, and yeah, well, anyway, I wasn't too unhappy with the results. You can see that it masked off the area where I'm going to paint in now, and I got that halo around my image. That was the first piece of that transparency, and you kind of keep it all in one piece because what you want to do is have both the innie and outie pieces. Like I kept the piece that goes around the face. You could see me taping that into place there, and then I kept the face piece and tape that in place, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back in with the black and paint her hair in. Now the black in the Delusions paint is a little bit thicker than the white, and I was pretty well happy with that, or not thicker so much. It's not a thickness issue, it's an opacity issue. And as you can see, as I'm working with the black, the white kind of is changing color. It now becomes more of a purplish blue shade on the page, and I'm not liking that, but I continue. I've got to get my black paint down there, and I'm thinking, well, I'll just address that with another coat of paint when I come back in. Now I needed to get some of the detail work painted in, so I switched over from the sponge tool. Those are those Tim Holtz sponges on a sponging tool, and they work really well, except I had some detail work to do, so I grabbed a brush and I'm painting in around the hair, because I didn't tape all of those individual little pieces in place. You can if you want to save all of those and tape it in, but I figured it was just as easy to come back with a brush and paint those areas in. And like I said, the black itself was working quite well, and it's the same black paint that I had on the page originally. I think what happened was it was probably a page I wasn't happy with, and there's probably some spray inks underneath all of that black and doodle and everything, because that's kind of what I do sometimes. If I don't like a page, I'll just come back, paint everything out, and then start working on top of that. So as you can see, my page where the white paint is getting more blue, purple hue to it as I keep going. So probably the best thing here, rather than going to a white paint, would have been to grab my gesso. I have some thick, heavy body gesso that I could have used, but I thought, no, surely the Dina Wakley heavy body paint would cover that, right? Well, as you're going to see, it doesn't really cover it. But I want to point out that I picked up those paints and I love them, those heavy body ones from the Craft Shack. Heather carries those in the store, so if anybody is looking for those particular paints, hop on over to the Craft Shack. I like to support the people who are out there doing all of these things for us, and Heather is one of them. If you haven't seen the Crafters community over on Google Plus or attended her Craft It Live show that she does every Tuesday, or visited her YouTube where she publishes all of those Craft It Live and other YouTubes, do so, and be sure and shop with her, because we need to support her so she continues to do these things for us that we like to see. So, okay, I'm painting this with that Dina Wakley paint, and even as I'm painting it, I'm starting to see up at the top where that blue purplish hue halo is kind of creeping back in. And I'm saying, oh my goodness, how many times am I going to have to coat this to get it to go right? Well, the other thing is I'm working in a journal. Is it really imperative that it's that pure white that I was going for, or am I going to be satisfied? This is more of an experimental book for me. I just like to play with these things. It's not like it's a canvas that I'm going to hang on the wall. So eventually I just give in. You know, my inner critic is saying, oh, come on, do it right. And then my desire to change it again weakens, and I'm saying, well, I don't want to be at this all day. I have other things that I want to accomplish, so I'll just kind of roll with it, let it go. If it's a little bit on the blue purple side, okay, so what? Actually, it might even be a little bit interesting. I kind of like what it's doing in one respect, but in another I'm saying, it wasn't what I was starting out to do. But sometimes those things we just call happy accidents, and we let it go and we go with the flow. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going with the flow. I've got some Mars Black now, which is a little heavier than the Dina Wakley, not Dina Wakley, with the Delusions paint that I was using as a base. And now I'm getting out some gel medium, and I'm putting a quote on here that comes from a stamp set from Delusions from Diane Reevely, and the quote says, "I am perfect just the way I am." And I thought that was apropos for what I was going through struggling with this page, because okay, it may not be perfect, but it's perfect enough, and I can say this is perfect just the way it is. So it's got a little bit of that purplish hue. That's okay. And I kind of complement that. You'll see what I do to work with that here in a little bit. So it's, now that I have this heavy body paint on here, it of course is going to take a while to dry, and I still have painting that I want to do on the face, and I'm saying, oh boy, let's get that Mars Black out and paint the face on here. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted there, and so I'm kind of holding it up to see what the placement is of the lips and the eye, and I'm going to go in and put another brow in here. And it's not a real face. It's not like I'm painting a face. It's just more of a caricature of a face, and I'm kind of outlining where I want the lips to go, and this is where that purplish bluish color comes back in. I was going to do some ruby red lips. Don't ask me why, but I thought ruby red lips, that'll pop off the page, and change my mind, because what have I got? I've got this bluish purplish thing going on. So I grab the Delusions purple and the Dina Wakley magenta, and that's what I end up using for her lips. This is that magenta paint for the uh, lower lip, and then I have the um, purple, and I can't tell you exactly what the color is, grape I think, for the upper lip. And you can see that it goes just fine with that hue that's in the background. So I'm satisfied. That's it. Bye for now.